So John, to kick off, not only what's innovation, but what's sustainable innovation?
Well, we're talking about two words that are among the most used in English or in fact any language in the world these days. I went on Google this morning and Googled the word innovation. It was 115 million hits for innovation. And sustainability got 32 million hits, so it's definitely in contention. And this, of course, is both, I think, the good news and the bad news. The good news is that these are subject matters that have come to the top of the corporate and the public sector agenda. The bad news is that these terms are often used in quite vague ways, and when you concatenate sustainability and innovation, the hazard is that you're piling vagueness on vagueness.
Our journey, at Nike, we began our journey, rather infamously, in the early 90s, and really fell straight into risk management. We looked at where we needed to go when we saw these new constraints coming towards us. We saw these massive trends coming towards us. The thing that we learned as a corporate responsibility team was, guess what? There's a load of really intelligent, smart people out there, and most of them don't work for us, and all we can do is put this out there and have other people build on it. And guess what? To make system change happen, we need lots of organizations to go this way. If we're just this lone kind of oasis of best practice in the middle of a desert, we're not going to get the change we want. Sustainability-based innovation needs to be out there, open-sourced, and shared. And I think that as a collective, if we become competitive over this form of innovation, we will not get to where we need to go fast enough.
What one really needs to look at is a new form of collaboration, first of all, between public, private, NGO, and civil society, but secondly, stewardship mechanisms for addressing these kinds of challenges. And I feel strongly that at the moment there is no global face for innovation.
These partnerships are very, very important because in some cases, companies are able to do things because of the NGO world that once was those who were beating up on them, are now invited into the boardroom to actually carry out something that was an important part of the company strategy that allows it to operationalize an innovation.
The distance between where we are and where we need to get to is not going to be solved by incrementalism. It just isn't. So where do we need to go? If you look at the trends and you look at what's happening, we are going to need to create business models that can thrive in a decarbonized, low-carbon future. We're going to have to take the carbon out of our footprint. We're going to have to take the water out of our footprint to a certain degree. And we're going to have to think about waste as equaling gold.
We do know of a few things that can make a difference. One is leadership. I mean, without leadership, and leadership that looks across and fills gaps. So right now, we do have lots of initiatives. We have some momentum, some movements. What we don't have is connectivity. And if we think about connectivity, particularly at the local and regional level, where it's easier to do because you can forge local coalitions. If you forge those local coalitions and they create connectivity across otherwise unrelated silos in the social system, then they can join with others. They can be models.
I'll just close by offering a few specific comments about how to, right? Because innovation ultimately is the answer to a question, and it's getting you where you want to go on some journey. So having a sense of conceptual clarity is where the journey starts, because if you don't have conceptual clarity, I would argue you don't have very much. Secondly, there needs to be a narrative, a story, because one requires a sense of urgency to create the kind of transformation that innovation drives. If it's just business as usual, why change anything about what you're doing? Third, there are a whole bunch of inputs to the innovation process. The whole notion then not only of doing those tasks well, but about bringing innovation to the innovation process becomes very important. Having a sense of stewardship of the sustainability and innovation agenda within the organization. Who's going to do it? How are they going to be measured? What are they accountable for? Who is their audience? Et cetera, becomes fundamentally important. And again, all of these are variables, not givens. Leadership is clearly important, you know, articulating and being the steward of the vision, making useful exceptions, driving progress forward. And finally, the mechanics of campaign planning, you know, action planning, getting it done in service of some ambitious strategy, which hopefully will be transformational.
So I think if we can reframe collectively the narrative as being one of innovation for what purpose? Innovation for the purpose of economic competitiveness, because we are redesigning the business model and we are redesigning the way the world works, then I think we start to get to a place where we're going to be overwhelmed by the innovation. So I, for one, am actually surprisingly optimistic about how fast I think this thing can go.